Yes, hello everybody. Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching or listening to us from. My name is AyoT, and this is another episode of the Home of Nigerian Football Podcast. As always, I have a special guest with me. This time he's a goalkeeper for IFK Varnamo in Sweden. I'm talking about Jonathan Rashid Ayola. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Jonathan, it's a pleasure to be talking to you. A lot of people have asked me about you, have asked what I think about you, and I always tell them I can't give an honest opinion. So it's best for us to hear from the horse's mouth. If I put it that way.
Yeah.
So can you just tell us? I guess we want to know from the very beginning. Where are you from? Where did you grow up, and how did you start getting into football?
Mm. My dad is from Nigeria. My mom is from Norway. I'm born in Sweden.
Okay.
My dad played football. So he came to Europe when he was young and played football. He quit quite early, so I met my mom, uh, moved to Sweden, and then yeah, I've been playing football since I was 10, 11 years old. Uh, been a goalkeeper my whole career. I think I have like one game as a striker, but they put me back in goal. They said that I stay in goal. Um, so yeah, that's my that's my story.
No, interesting. Do you know where in Nigeria you're from? People always like to know those nitty gritty
Lagos,
details. Oh yeah, Lagos boy.
Lagos,
Uh,
Lagos.
and have you been? Do you go back? Like,
I haven't been. It's crazy, but when I was like 16, 17, 18, that was like the point where I was supposed to go, and then you start playing professional football, and it's you feel like
mm,
you have the time, but you don't. And then
yeah.
I moved away from home when I was young, so every time I had a break or something, I just tried to come back to my family.
Mm, okay. And you said you started playing football at 10 years old. Was this
Yeah,
something that your dad got you into, or did you just develop the love for it, watching on TV yourself?
I'm not really sure. I think it's a mix. Everyone in Sweden plays football, and then I think it's like we want to try it, and then I did. I think I became a goalkeeper the first week. I don't know if it was because I was really bad as a player, and they said better just stay in goal, or if I just tried it and I enjoyed it, so I just
No,
stuck with it. But
I,
I think it's
I
a
mean,
mix between the both.
Amazing. And it's funny that you said you don't know if it's because you're bad, because growing up in Nigeria, I can tell you that's how it works. When it's time to play football, the last player that nobody wants, they're like, you know what, just take him and go.
It's like
It's like they're
think
gonna
it's the
score us
same
anyway,
everywhere.
so you might as well just go in goal and let him feel like he's playing, you but I mean, growing up as a young goalkeeper, um, was there any time that you wanted to, try being an outfield player, or did you just fall in love with goalkeeping and decide, you know what, I'll be
Mm. I fell in love with being a goalkeeper, the pressure and everything, and then you become good at something, and everyone say, "Wow, you're so good." You just
fine?
keeps on going. Of course, always like imagine, wow, what it could be if I played as a striker, whatever it is. But I don't know. I always like enjoyed being a goalkeeper, and like my character is a goalkeeper, so if it suits me well.
Okay, okay. And what team did you support as a young boy, growing up in Sweden?
We had one guy called Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Ah,
Uh,
yes.
So I never really had a club that I've like been a fan of. More like players that I like. So Zlatan is a player I always like had my eyes on, and then goalkeepers, of course. So Casillas was a role model. So Real Madrid I used to watch. Dida in Milan. So it's like I've been following players instead of clubs.
No, I mean, as to be fair, I always like to believe that it's players, even for people that are football fans of clubs, it's one or two players that make you fall in love with the club. You like a particular player,
Exactly.
he plays for that club, and then you start supporting. So Can you tell us a bit of how you got into the football pipeline? Did you play for an academy? How did you get on that route to become professional?
First, I played like the system in Sweden is you play like a youth. You play with like kids for fun for the first like I think it's until you turn 14.
Okay.
So I played in a club, a local club close to my home. And when I turned 13, I went to one of the bigger clubs in Gothenburg in Sweden, uh, guys, and played for the academy there for I think 3 years, 4 years. Uh, and then I moved, played for a lower division, but senior football when I was 16.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and then from there, it's just been different clubs and different experience.
And at what point did you realize that, this football thing, I can take it seriously? Because we're well aware that at the academy, at the youth level, there's thousands of kids that are playing football that want to be football players. But the unfortunate reality is not everyone can make it to the pro level. So at what
Yeah,
point did you realize, like, I actually can do this thing, I can be a pro goalkeeper?
to be honest, when I was young, like 16, 17, I didn't care about money. I didn't care about, like, football was just fun. It wasn't anything like, I want to become this. I just thought football was fun. And then when you turn 16, 17, like the youth national team start coming and all those all those things, and you say, wow, this is for real. That's when I like really understood, okay, but if I just continue like this, maybe I can make it.
Uh, Amazing. And I mean, good to see that you made it here, and that's the reason why I'm talking to you. Um, so speaking of playing for the youth national team, you played for Sweden's youth national team.
I never played for the national team because I don't have a Swedish passport. I'm a
Oh, how does that
Norwegian
work?
and a Nigerian.
So
I don't
even
know.
if
My
you're born
mom
in
is born
Sweden,
in
you don't.
Norway. If
No, so
I can apply for the Swedish passport,
oh, okay.
but I have the Norwegian one and I have the Nigerian one, and I've never really thought about getting the Swedish one.
Oh, okay.
But we had
Interesting.
like the qualifications before the national team. I was in that one because no one knew that I wasn't Swedish. Um, and then uh, how can I say? When I was young, it wasn't that many black goalkeepers in Sweden.
Mm,
Uh, so it was the political side of it. I think is it was a little bit tougher. People have like opinions about you being different from everyone else.
no, I totally get that. It's one of the, should I say, dilemmas that, you know, I mean, we're black people. We know what we go through in in these
Yeah.
situations and in these rooms. But yeah, good to hear. So, have you ever been part of any either Norway's? Since you said you didn't ever play for Sweden, have you ever
I
been part
haven't
of Norway's
represent any.
national team
No,
setup?
no, I haven't represent any national team in no levels. Just like
Okay,
the stated stages before.
okay. And I guess my next question I'll ask you is: you said you grew up, loving Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So, when you were growing up, did you support the Swedish national team?
No, I I'm a little bit confusing because I have like my mom is from Norway, my dad is
Yeah.
from Nigeria, and obviously I'm born in Sweden. But I remember the World Cup when Nigeria played against Sweden, uh, and we were allowed to watch it at school, and everyone was rooting for Sweden. I said, no, 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 Nigeria. So it's like I don't know. It's of course I've always loved Sweden. When Norway plays, I love Norway. When Nigeria plays, I love Nigeria. But um, if they draw, it's the best result.
For you. Okay. Let me ask you about your football journey. So, after going through the grassroots system, playing, in an academy, signing for guys, what was the first professional team that you ever signed and played for?
On paper, Kviding. They played in Division 2, the second tier in Sweden. And I was 18, just graduated high school. Uh, I had a contract for 6 months. Um, and after that, I wasn't gonna play, so I felt like I had to find somewhere where I could play. So I went to that's when I moved from home and from Gothenburg to a small club in a place called Norrköping and played in a club there in the third tier called Sylvia. Had 2 great seasons there, and then I moved to Norway, and that's when I would say I became professional for real, and played in a club called Stabæk. They play in
I know, I know
they played
Stabik.
in the second league, but they are now in the first league.
Mm. And being a young boy, getting to play for a club, and after 6 months, you know, you weren't going to continue there. Was that something that was tough? Did you feel like maybe this thing isn't going to quite work out like I thought it would be? How did you push through that?
Uh, my family has always been very supporting, and my dad has been sort of my agent until I became professional for real. And he's been the one to do the work, finding clubs. My mom is the one to like do the research. So I've never really had any doubts about not finding a club. It was more exciting. You just stop school. You are not limited to Gothenburg. You know that you can travel. You can go wherever you want to go. So never had any doubts, and I felt like it would solve in some way.
Mm. And then making a move to Norway, did that seem like, for you going to an unknown land, charting new territory? Or did you feel like, well, I'm Norwegian, so I'm just going home to play football? How was that for you?
Sweden and Norway is very similar. Like the weather, the landscape, everything is very similar. Even the language is almost the same. So it wasn't that big of a difference. But for me, as a player, to go there and out of nowhere, now we're traveling to training camps in Spain, and you're taking the plane to away games, and you have fans and all those extra things. That was like the wow part. But except that, I think it was the same in Sweden and Norway.
Okay. And speaking of languages, how many languages do you speak?
English, Swedish. That's the
English
only
has
thing.
so
Yeah.
you don't have a little bit of Yoruba in your vocabulary?
Oof. I have small words. I can say good morning, just those small phrases,
Okay, let's hear
and
one
then
of those.
obviously e caro, and then I have some curse words as well, but I'm not gonna say them now.
Okay.
Uh, and
Can you
I,
can you introduce yourself in Yoruba if you had to?
oof, that one I couldn't do. I'm sorry.
Hmm. Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
we'll have to give you a little bit more training, but
I
you'll
have
get
one Nigerian boy in my team. I will tell him to to
to
start making
to
teaching me
coach
some
you.
extra words.
Okay, nice. Um, and then yeah, going through the system, can you tell us a little bit of how you ended up at IFK Varnamo, which is where you play your football now?
Uh, I played in after Norway, 2015. I wanted to move back to Sweden, and I went to AFK Varnamo 2016. Played one season, had a great season, and uh, went to BK Häcken. That is from Gothenburg, one of the big, not big clubs, but one of the teams that used to be in top of the league. Uh, I was there for 6 years. Uh, I was mostly second goalkeeper, uh, and I felt like it's time to do something different. And EFK Varnamo had a journey, went to the third tier in the Swedish system, went back up to Superettan and back up to, not back up, up to Allsvenskan. And I felt like they had something exciting going on, and I wanted to be a part of it. So uh, came here last summer, and yeah, it's been amazing.
So far, so good, eh?
Yeah,
Uh, And if someone has never watched you play, has never like seen you in action, how would you describe yourself as a goalkeeper? What kind of goalkeeper are you?
Verbal, love to talk, try to
Love
help
to talk or
the
love to shout? Because
love
goalkeepers
to
don't talk.
shout. I love to shout, help my teammates in front of me. I like having the ball on my feet, try to be involved in that way. A shot stopper, reflexes, um, and quite offensive with like crosses and stuff, I would say.
Mm, okay, okay. And I mean, how tall are you? Just for context.
Uh, 191,
Mm.
so 6'3".
6'3". Okay, I mean, pretty tall for a goalkeeper. But I mean, shot stopper. That's one of the things that, of course, is important. And I mean, we always love speaking from Nigerians' point of view. We always love a goalkeeper that can command their area, can take charge of
Yeah,
anything that comes into the box. Um,
yeah.
okay, so let me ask you about, because I know this is everybody that's watching now. They're like 16 minutes. He still hasn't asked him. So let me ask you about the Nigerian national team. Um, have you said you've watched the game, when Sweden played Nigeria at the World Cup, you were rooting for Nigeria against everyone else. But have you
Mm.
always followed the Nigerian national team?
Of course, I always watch like the big games, if it's AFCON or if it's the World Cup, or uh, I watch most of the games. Uh, but
Mm,
like you said, with time difference before, and all those things, it depends. Um like if I have games or whatever it is, trading or stuff, but I always like try to see the results and see who scored, or and always been like trying to find information of the game. Sometimes we don't even have the possibility to stream the games from Sweden. So as much as I can, I try to watch it. But AFCON, we always have a possibility to watch.
yeah. And is there any Nigerian either goalkeeper or player that you just loved from back in the day? Because we have a lot of top quality players that have
Like
played for the national.
when when you have a goalkeeper like Nyama that's been top 10 during the era with like I would say the best goalkeepers that ever played the game, and he's been top 10 in the stats and in everything, then it's natural to have like extra wow. That's amazing. Um and I remember when they started like writing top 10 goalkeepers in even in Sweden or in like the world, and you see a Nigerian goalkeeper, that's amazing, and even an African, because we are not so many. So that was like wow. So Victor Anyama is he's the guy.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it definitely goes against, the stereotype that they always say is that Africa doesn't produce quality goalkeepers. We have the strikers and everything, but they always say we don't have
Yeah,
quality goalkeepers. So it's always nice, to be. Enyama is an absolute legend for us.
yeah,
Um, the talk that a lot of people say is that we've not been able to even come close to having a goalkeeper like Enyama since he left the national team. So that's even just to speak of how great he was. So
yeah.
let me ask you about your own feelings, your own prospects. A lot of people
Mm.
have been saying, "Oh, we want to see Jonathan, Rashid. Why not give him a chance in the national team?" Even if you wouldn't say it, I can say that I'm not related to the team. We have quite a goalkeeping issue at the moment, if I should put it that way. I'm
Mm.
not insulting anybody, but fans, are not quite pleased with the goalkeepers that we have right now. And, I think one of the biggest factors for me personally is the fact that of our goalkeepers that play in Europe, we only have one who is actually first choice for his team, playing week in, week out. And I feel like for a football player, one of those things that is very important is to be able to get your match fitness and be active in the game, not only when you come to the national team. Um,
Yeah.
so from your point of view, um, I guess I'll ask you a direct question. Do you think you can be a potential solution to the goalkeeping issue that we have in Nigeria currently?
Uh, That's not for me to say. I would be honored if I got the possibility, but to say that I would be a solution, that I couldn't say. But if I got the chance, I would do everything in my power to make it as good as possible.
So is it something that you've wanted to happen? Is it something that you've wished for and it just hasn't happened for you yet to get caught up to the Nigerian national
Uh,
team?
yeah, it's something that like I told you, I have Nigerian passport, so it's always been like a dream of mine to go to the national team. Uh, but it's not like I don't feel like it's worth being disappointed about it. It's more like if it comes, I will be very happy. If not, I will still fight and try to make it.
Mm. And how would it feel? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but we have the AFCON coming up in January of next year. In Ivory Coast. We're in a pretty tough group, and a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, we need to take a strong goalkeeper into that tournament because with the last AFCON we got knocked out. A lot of people failed due to a goalkeeping error." Um, what would it feel like if you were able to be selected to represent Nigeria at the AFCON? What would that mean to you?
It's the biggest for for a football player. It's the biggest thing that you can do, represent your country. Uh, so it would be a blessing, and like I told you, it would be a big honor. So I don't even think you can describe it until you're there, to be honest.
Okay, good to hear. Okay, let's dial it back a little bit. Let me ask you a few more light-hearted questions. I want to know a bit of your connection with Nigeria. So do you have a favorite Nigerian food, something that you like to eat?
Yes, I have. Tomato stew with fufu is my favorite.
With fufu? Oh, okay.
Oh, pounded
uh,
yam.
okay, you're
So
a man
with
of.
pounded yam is like, uh,
No, I was gonna say you're a man of the culture.
eh, so that's my absolute favorite. So every time I go from Varnamo to Gothenburg, I tell Papa, you need to make some stew for me. Uh, and then jollof, of course, I would
Mm,
say. And that's like my favorite. And then when I was younger, my dad always used to take me to like Nigerian parties and gatherings and stuff, and they had like all this amazing food. So I've
mm.
tried most of them, but for me, the tomato stew uh, and jollof is my favorite. And
Mm.
puff puff, the
Yeah,
small
puff puff.
sweet balls.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let me ask you. How about you spoke about going to Nigerian parties, Nigerian events? How about the music? Are there any Nigerian musicians that you listen to regularly?
Right now, right now, Burna Boy is number one on my playlist. I would say Drake and Burna Boy is the artist I listen to for now.
Mm.
And then when I
Okay,
was younger, we used to listen to P Square. Uh,
of course, legends.
so and like it's crazy, but in Sweden, I think everyone is listening to Afrobeat now. I would
Mm.
say almost everyone is doing it. So you hear like I even hear white people giving me artists. It's like, who is this? And it's it's da da da, or it's this. I say, okay, and I don't even know who it is. But no, Burna Boy he's undefeated for now.
Okay, Burna Boy for sure. I mean, he's making waves all around the world, so that's very
Yeah.
understandable. Okay, you said you haven't been to Nigeria. But are there any places in Nigeria that you're hoping to visit one day?
Oof, of course, my where my dad is, where my dad grew up. I have to visit. Unfortunately, my granddad and my grandma passed away, but my dad still have siblings. So I hope one day we will go there together.
And I mean, if you do eventually get caught up for the national team, then that's something that will most likely happen. For you to at least be in the country, and
Yeah,
then you can see around. Okay.
yeah.
Um, there any Nigerians, maybe outside of football, or even just more within football? You already mentioned Vicente Yama, that you look up to, that, you just heard their names growing up, or you see what they're doing around the world and they just make you proud as a Nigerian.
You mean outside of football?
It could be outside of football, yeah.
Oof. Uh, Outside of football, I don't think I don't have any role models or anyone that I look up to, except my dad. And um uh, in football, that I look up to in Yama, I will say, except that I don't look up to anyone
Mm,
like that. I will say my dad has always been the one I look up to.
okay. And within the Nigerian national team right now, I mean the current Super Eagles squad, is there any player that you're friends with, that you have contact with, that you talk to every once in a while?
No, no one in the
Mm,
first team. No,
okay, I guess then I'll change that question and ask: is there anyone that you want to play with one day? Like you watch, you see what they're doing in their club, and you're like, man, I'd love to play with this guy one day.
uh, my old team back, Häcken played against Boniface like 2 weeks ago,
Oh,
and that would, of course, be amazing. Just not even playing with, playing against, and then of course Osimhen in Napoli is a big player now. Um, and then you have all these players that plays in Premier League, and uh, it would be amazing to play against all of them. To be honest,
oh.
um, I would say.
I mean, playing against those similar Boniface it would be nice until they score you, and then I guess
It would be a nice challenge to
it
see if
would
you.
for sure be a nice challenge. I mean, Victor
Yeah,
Boniface is making serious waves at the moment. With
yeah.
Bayer Leverkusen, one of our very very good players that we have. Okay, so let me ask you a little bit about yourself, and what you like. Who's your favorite player of all time?
Of all time,
Yeah.
I would say Zlatan.
Mm.
Of all
Who's
time.
the who's the one coach, um, currently active or retired, dead or alive, doesn't matter, that you would love to play under?
Oof. I have to say Guardiola. The way he
Pep
changed
Guardiola.
football. Yeah, Pep Guardiola. It's it's crazy how he changed football. Even if he got his idea from somewhere, the way he just influenced the whole world to play the way he wanted to play, and everyone wanted to. Because before, no one cared about. For me as a goalkeeper, goalkeepers didn't need to have good feet, or you didn't need to be active when you had the ball. And he changed all that out
Mm,
of nowhere. Everyone's supposed to have a goalkeeper that is good with their feet. Sometimes they don't even care if he can save balls. It's like as long as you can be helping us in the how do you say it, when we are
moving the
offensive with
ball
the ball.
forward, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So I would say Guardiola would be amazing.
Mm, okay. What's your favorite thing to eat before a game?
Before a game,
Yeah.
usually I don't eat so much, depending on the time of the day the game is, but usually I try to just eat breakfast and then I just eat like scrambled egg with like bread.
Mm, okay.
That's like what I want to eat.
Okay. Who's your favorite superhero?
Oof, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Why?
Spider-Man. I have no idea. I just felt like he was cool when I was young, and
Mm,
even now when I watch the movies, he's the guy. And he's not even the one with the best powers. It's just that he
yeah.
was cool.
I mean, reflexes. He has good reflexes. So for a goalkeeper, that's
Yeah.
something that matters.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you like to have?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Fly, for sure, fly.
Flying. Yeah, I mean, you'll make a lot of saves if you could fly for sure.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any pre-match superstitions? Any routine that you have to go through before a game?
Ooh, uh, yeah, I have some, but nothing like major, nothing that I that I have to do, but some things that I have to have like in order. Like if I have the way I set up my bag when I leave the training ground with my gloves and my shin pads and my shoes need to be in the right order. Uh, and then if I don't like drink certain amount of water, I will feel like maybe I will get dehydrated and blah blah blah. But nothing that I couldn't live without, but just small things that pops up in your head every time it's a game day.
Mm. Okay. And how do you keep yourself focused before a game?
I try to relax as much as possible and not think so much about the game. As a goalkeeper, it's more of a mental game than a physical game. Trying to especially when you play, trying to be focused the whole game and trying to to be like in the game the whole 90 minutes. So before the game, I just try to focus on other things. And as soon as you get to the stadium, you just lock in.
Mm. Okay. This is a bit of a silly question, but you mentioned drinking water. So let me ask you, why is it that goalkeepers, whenever they concede a goal, the first thing they do is they grab their water bottle and spray water in their mouth?
I
Why?
told you it's dehydration. That's why you need to drink a lot before games. To be honest, I don't know. It's funny. I don't know why, but it's like, shit, let me just drink some water so I can
To cool
get my
yourself.
energy up.
Uh,
No, it's crazy. Everyone do it. Every goalkeeper does it.
yeah, like
It's
all
amazing.
goalkeepers do it. It's so funny. Okay.
Yeah,
Nike or Adidas?
like every day.
Nike. Um, Lagos or Abuja?
Lagos.
Mm. Would you rather
Have
wear
to.
track? Would you rather wear track suits or formal suits?
Absolute.
Track suits, shoes or wristwatches?
Choose.
Mm. Champions League or AFCON?
That's a tough one.
Mm.
I will say AFCON.
AFCON. I
National
mean,
League is a little bit bigger.
yeah. I always say like the Champions League is for sure a big trophy to win. But if you
Yeah.
win something with your country, no one's ever going to forget.
Yeah,
That's
it's different. National team things, if it's Europe or AFCON or Copa America, that's different.
yeah. Okay, so let me ask now back to some of the more serious football talk. Um, what would you say is the strongest part of your game?
My strongest part.
Yeah.
I will say my shouting, to be honest. The way I dictate the game that way. It's crazy to say, but uh, I think it was Van der Sar said, if I don't do anything a whole game, I've made a perfect game. And
Mm,
it's a little bit this. I have tried to have that mentality that you don't have to do anything in a game as long as you win or draw, whatever it is. As long as you can help your teammates in directing them the right way or telling them that someone is coming from behind or whatever it is. Uh, so I think that is one of my uh, strongest parts to try to prevent stuff and always being active in moving the back four and or back five or whatever it is and trying to be involved in that way. And then, as I said, reflexes, stop shot, shot stopper.
mm. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you're 31 years old now.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and from what, at least theoretically, they typically say that goalkeepers would get into their peak. Around their early 30s is when they expect most goalkeepers to be at their peak level in football. So,
yeah,
do you feel like you're better than you've ever been right now?
yeah, yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't say that I feel better, but I feel smarter. I feel that I'm not better in the terms of speed and all those things, but I feel like I'm smarter. I It's easier to make decisions now than when I was younger. But that obviously come with experience as well. If you experience something one time, it's easier to navigate you in this the second time. So I would say uh, I don't know better, but I would say smarter. Oh,
Okay.
I've experienced more situations, and you start. when you mature, you start, I don't know, digesting the mistakes in a different way than when you were younger. It was tough when you were young, making a mistake, thinking, your whole day was ruined. Now it's more of, okay, what can I learn from this?
Mm. And do you have any um, short-term career goals? Like, if we look forward to maybe the next, say, 3 years of your career, is there anything that you want to have achieved within the next three years?
Uh, Obviously, now when I got all the messages on social medias, uh, a goal will be to fight and try to maybe take a position in the squad of the national team. Uh, and then I don't have any short term, but my club now is it's not one of the biggest teams in Sweden, but we've been playing very good this year. So trying to continue develop and trying to make a name for IFK Varnamo in Sweden and trying to represent them the best way that I can.
Mm. And I mean, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you faced in your career so far?
In terms of a game or just in general,
No, just in general.
I would say like the toughest, I will say the mental game. When you're younger, it's a lot of ups and downs with football, first of all, and then you have everything outside football. Uh, and I have mom and dad that always been there and supported me and helped me during tough phases of my career. It's easy as a young guy to it doesn't go as well, and you feel like, oh, but I can do something else instead, or whatever it is. I would say the all the ups and downs. I would say is uh, it's been tough when you're young and all those things, trying to navigate yourself and into going forward.
And what would you say is maybe the highlights or the happiest moments of your career so far? Something that you know you'll never forget.
Oh, uh, my I would say winning the Swedish Cup with my old team BK Häcken was a great experience, uh, and making my debut in Allsvenskan in Sweden was a big moment, and then playing against Red Bull Leipzig in the qualification for Europe, the Europa Conference. No, not the conference, Europa League. That was a big moment as well.
Mm, amazing, amazing. Okay. I have a couple more questions to ask you. But I want us to play a game.
Okay,
This game is Would You Rather. So
okay,
I'll give you two scenarios, and you
yeah,
just tell me the scenario that you prefer.
okay.
Okay. Would you rather keep a clean sheet or save three penalties in one game, but you concede one goal?
Clean sheet.
Mm,
But I was
clean sheet.
tempted to say three penalties.
Okay. Would you rather have the most clean sheets at a World Cup at the end of the tournament, or you save a penalty in the World Cup final?
Most clean sheets.
Mm, okay. Um, would you rather would you rather be the second choice goalkeeper on the best team in the country, or the first choice goalkeeper on the worst team in the country?
Um, First choice.
First choice. Okay. Would you rather play against your best friend in a final and you beat your best friend, or you play on the same team with them and you lose?
I'll beat my best friend. I will
Okay.
beat him every time.
Uh, would you rather keep a clean sheet in every home game of the season, or you keep a clean sheet in every away game of the season?
Ooh, be away game.
Away game. And why is that?
Because usually it's tougher to go
Away.
play away. So I'm trying to
Okay.
think where would it be more points to get? And I think if you keep clean sheets away, because at home it's easier, you score more goals, and that's why I said away.
Okay. At the end of your career, would you rather have the record for the most clean sheets or the record for the most saves?
This is great questions, to be honest. Uh, Most clean sheets.
Most clean sheets. Okay. Would you
Yeah,
rather play in the rain or play in the snow?
in the rain or in the snow.
Yeah,
What did you? In the rain.
you choose the rain.
Oof, snow is no. Rain every day. Oh,
I mean, but you
you even
grew up in
remind me that
city.
it's still getting cold now. It's cold in Canada as well, right?
Yeah, it's getting cold. Yeah.
Oof, now you
Uh,
remind me that it's getting cold now.
okay. Would you rather you do not play football for a whole year, or you play but you never keep a clean sheet for the whole year?
Ooh, uh, I will play. I will play.
You play. Okay. Would you rather play in extreme cold or in extreme heat?
Extreme heat.
Extreme heat. You drink as much water as you need.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, Messi or Ronaldo?
Uh, Messi after the World Cup.
So before the World Cup, it was Ronaldo.
It was Ronaldo, but now I have to say it's Messi. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. That's a good one. Um, okay. Um, one more game that I'll play with you before we round off the conversation today. So this game is Do You Remember? So I'll ask you
Mm-hmm.
about a moment in your life, and you tell us if you remember. Then just give us a little bit of story around it. Okay.
Okay.
Do you remember the first football that you ever owned?
No.
Okay. Do you remember your first pair of football boots?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
What kind
was
of
a,
boots?
they were black with like the tongue, like the Puma
Yeah.
King, but it wasn't the Puma King. It was like a cheap model of the Puma King.
Okay. Um, do you remember the first time someone watched you play football and told you that you were special?
Oof. I think my mom and dad told me the first game they saw me as a goalkeeper. But I don't know if they were lying or telling the truth.
Maybe they were just
No.
trying to encourage their
Yeah, they're
son.
just trying to encourage me. No, but to be honest, I would say uh, that the first month when I came to the club when I was 10 years old and we had like a tournament and I was quite good and they say, wow, Jonathan, you're good. And so all those things makes you like encouraged to stay as a goalkeeper.
Mm,
But you never know. Maybe they were just trying to make me stay in goal.
who knows? I mean, it worked out, so we can't complain.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember the first time you saved a penalty?
Ooh, no, not the first time.
Mm, okay. Do you remember the first trophy that you ever won even as a young boy?
Yeah, it was an indoor, like futsal, indoor tournament. That was the first time I won like something in football. Uh,
Okay.
and I was like,
Um,
yeah, I think it was when I was 10, 11.
how about at the professional level?
Professional level. First time I won is the Swedish Cup, and that was not long ago. And then you have like getting promoted from like the second division to the first as well. But that's not a trophy. That is just a nice achievement as well.
Yeah. Okay. And do you remember your first pair of football gloves?
I think it was the same as the boots. It
Black
was
and white
I
as
think
well.
it's called sock. No, not black and white. I think they were orange and black, something like that. But they were the same brand as my shoes.
Okay, nice, nice. Okay, I think I've gone through most of the questions that I had for you. Um, to just round things off, I guess I'll take it back to the national team. You know,
Yeah,
if if there was anybody watching this video, that's wondering like why does this guy think he can play for the national team? Why should we support him to play for the national team? What would be your response to that person?
my response will be that I myself believe that I will be able to do it, but it's not up to me. And I would rather say, instead of saying it, I would love to show on the pitch instead.
You'd love to show on the page. Okay, amazing. And if there's anybody watching this video, or listening to this, and the person is maybe a young player back in Nigeria, back in Sweden, Norway, wherever else, um, hoping to, be able to achieve, even some of what you've achieved in your career, like being a professional footballer, what would your advice be to that person?
Never give up. That's simple as that. I know it could be tough. It's a bumpy road. You have different how do you say? You have different experience that is tough and all those things, but never give up. Always, if it's what you want, just go get it.
Amazing, amazing. Great words of advice, and hopefully, one day we see you in the national team, wearing the colors of Nigeria, and I'm making some
Hopefully,
teams, making us proud and happy. It's
that
been
would be
nice to talk.
amazing. It
It's been
was
nice
really
to talk
nice.
to you, and hopefully we keep in touch, and sometime in the future we can reconnect again.
Yeah, of course. It was nice talking to you as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.